Black Lives Matter, voices of past and present. Scene 1, take 1.
Started dragging me towards a tree, got me pinned down.
I'm gonna give you one more chance.
This is the truth about the cops are the ones not taking it possible to get involved. On June 3rd in the Bronx, they surrounded us.
We have come a long way, but I think there is still a long way to go. And part of that is that systematic racism now is much more complex to a lot of people. It's a lot more detailed to find and to understand.
So of course there's still work to do. But to negate that, we have to celebrate in this moment the fact that something happened historically in this country. And we have to acknowledge that that's real.
I think it's great that people are standing up for the idea that, yeah, we love Black lives just as much as we love any other lives, and Black Lives Matter. My role as a state senator, I've been a leading advocate for criminal justice reform and policing reform.
We have to address what happens in this country. It didn't just begin. I think that Black and brown bodies were being killed. We just have video footage. And I think criminal justice reform should be the first thing that they begin to address.
If there's an argument to be made that statues are there for people who are, you should look up to, our heroes, and a lot of the Confederate people we have on our statues aren't really like that. They're people who are statues now because they were historical figures, and a lot of people didn't know the context that we know now. So it's a tough decision, it's a tough argument, but I think both sides can be right.
I actually taught 2 different adult learning classes earlier today, and in both of them, in different ways, questions came up about some of the sort of excesses, whether it's like the destruction of property or, tearing down, not just like, of a Columbus statue, but like a Frederick Douglass statue was torn down in one city. So I know that there have been moments, like whenever there are communities of people gathered, particularly in heated moments, individuals take actions that are dumb or destructive or over the top. That's always been the case. It always will be the case.
Protests are taking place over the death of George Floyd.
They were tear gassing every street we went up. We were peacefully protesting.
I want you guys at home to lay down with your hands tied behind your back for 9 minutes and say, I can't breathe.
Can't breathe.
By the 6th, 5th minute, you're going to be tired.
Peaceful protest so far, no issues. We hope it stays that way.
Again, yet another leader in our communities, further differentiating between what we're seeing live right now from the helicopter over South Minneapolis and this large, peaceful demonstration in the name of George Floyd. And differentiating from that to the violence and the destruction that's been happening largely after sundown, night after night this week across the Twin Cities and beyond.
I am hurt. I am sickened. I'm sickened by what I saw. But we are bigger than this, and we will rise up beyond this.
The repercussions of George Floyd's death in Minneapolis spilled into Brooklyn Center early Thursday morning.
This nation is reaching a boiling point.
Some of them is just doing this, taking advantage of it and doing it to just break in stores and just mess up people's business.
What I try to do really hard is not let those individual moments be anything more than individual ones that we can and should say, well, that's not it.
I have been to a protest where it's usually at night. Things start to get heated, especially when they bring in a lot more police. People, they feel threatened, and so they start to react in a similar way. They start backing up, they start coming forward, things like that. And I was in a protest in Boston, a very big, peaceful protest. It was the Boston March. And at the end of it all, at the nighttime, a lot of police came in, you know, the riot squad came in, all that stuff. And a lot of people felt threatened. They felt like the police were stomping on what they were trying to say.
The group doesn't have a leader. Usually there's a head of most groups. And I think there's a reason for that. We've seen historically when Black people get groups together to enact some kind of change and they put heads to those groups, those heads get murdered. Martin Luther King Jr., the head of the Black Panthers, just so many, we can go on, Malcolm X, we can go on. So I think it definitely makes sense that there's no leader.
And I think another difference is that Black Lives Matter now is not really an organized sort of movement. It's a movement of people, individuals who get together and they have their voices heard. But it's not like there's a leader or anything like that per se. It's a lot of individuals all having an agreement on what they think is right.
Very happy to see the energy of young people. It reminds me, because I'm 70, it reminds me of my days in the civil rights work when I was in college. And it's just refreshing. There are people who are energetic and who are seeing this in a new light, and I think they'll take us in to the next decade a lot better than we are now.
But there's so much different about how it works now because, for example, the biggest one is the advent of the internet. Now people can find, protests near them very quickly. They can find any information on any case.
I am the mother of Julius Tate. My son was murdered by your cops here in your city, Columbus Police Department. My son was 16 years old. Woo!
He pours fuel on every single racist fire.
Perhaps no area did the Washington special interests try harder to stop us?
I think Donald Trump is doing everything he can to put the whole movement in a negative light, as if it was a negative movement or a violent movement, but it's really, in my mind, a positive movement, a statement that, we're all in the same boat together. And hopefully the negative tone that Donald Trump has been setting for the past 4 years will be something that we see recede into the rearview mirror, coming January.
Oh, is there an election coming up?
We have COVID still, and we have an upcoming election. So there's, I think, a lot on people's minds.
I would literally vote for the soap scum that has hardened around my shower drain if it were running against Donald Trump. Like if those were the two candidates, literally, I would vote for the soap scum that had hardened around my shower drain. So with that said, beyond that, one of the things I think Biden has done a really good job of is communicating this idea of the soul of America is at stake in this election. It's one of the two most important presidential elections in our history. I would only put 1864 in the middle of the Civil War.
I understand Joe Biden's problematic comments when it comes to Black bodies, but I think both things can be true at the same time. I think that we can hold the fact that a woman of color is occupying a vice president seat, and we can continue to mobilize and activate in communities of color and across this country about criminal justice reform and hold them accountable. Make some noise if you believe we could do both.
I'm gonna be honest. There are a lot of us that wasn't happy about supporting Biden and Kamala. So I feel like we still have a whole lot of work to do given both of their records around criminal justice reform. I think that we cannot negate the magnitude of the moment, though. There are a lot of young activists and organizers that worked really hard to get out the vote, and I think we have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge that there are young black and brown girls everywhere who are seeing this, and it's history for them. And so I think that it's okay to celebrate in that moment. A friend of mine named Tamala Gordon says you should never be so woke that you can't acknowledge the magnitude of the moment, but still hold them accountable. And I think it's an and also. Both things can be true. So in regards to how is it going to affect our movement, just means that we now have to protest against them.
I think either way, whoever wins or loses, the people, they want their voices heard, and they will still continue to do that until a real change is made, until things are different.
People have been constantly telling people this isn't about singling out Black people and ignoring anybody else of a different race. This is simply showing that all lives can't matter until Black ones do.
You know, when you say all lives matter, that is correct. All lives do matter. But the problem is that a lot of people use this to downplay the statements and to say that Black Lives Matter isn't needed, that it isn't a statement people need to say because all lives matter. But the truth is that there is injustice between races in this, you know, in this nation, and whatever uncomfortable feeling you feel when that's brought up, it's still the truth, is that, you know, these things have to be addressed, these things have to happen. I understand your viewpoint, but everyone should matter, right? And the thing is that Black Lives Matter is everyone matters. It's not about that only Black Lives Matter or anything like that. It's that Black Lives matter just as much as anyone else, and everyone else matters the same too. And that's what it's about.
I will admit that it is really hard at times to figure out the best way to be a white ally of, particularly a white male, straight, privileged ally of the many communities to whom I do want to be allied and whose efforts I do want to support.
We've seen a lot of engagement and protests all across the country from, you know, people who are white, people who just aren't Black, and that's huge. And that's one, you know, instrumental step forward, is that a lot of people who normally before wouldn't speak up, wouldn't say anything, now you're sitting in your house.
For those that don't know me, my name is Kyle Colon. I'm a senior here at Fitchburg State University. I'm in the CJ 4+ Home program. If y'all know what that means, I'm a regular CJ Plus major, but I majored in police. We want to be heard. We are tired of not being heard. Every day is another life lost.
My name is I'm the interim vice president of the Black Student Union. I'm tired of learning that the color of my skin will affect my employment opportunities. And I'm tired of touching my little brother's hand every time we walk past police. The injustice that people of color experience on a day-to-day basis is not just a Black issue, but a human rights issue.
Many of you were part of those conversations. Many of those up here and also in the crowd were part of organizing those conversations. These have been opportunities for us to rededicate ourselves as an institute of higher learning to the mission and to the end vision of creating a future in which all that want a higher education is available to them, and that all are treated equally within these beautiful buildings, in our halls and our classrooms. All lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
I know that it is much harder for me to get a job. I know that it's much harder for me to maintain a job. I know that it's much harder for me to get out of trouble. Every day, and this is how I know I feel racism, I wake up with the fear knowing that I can be killed in my sleep by the people that are sworn to protect me. I wake up every day knowing that I could be randomly attacked and killed for the color of my skin. I wake up every day knowing that I can carry a toy gun and be killed and have no form of justice. I wake up every day knowing that I can carry Skittles in Arizona and have no form of justice. I wake up every day knowing that all the people that you see on the news can very well be me, can very well be your brothers, your sisters, your friends. We are vulnerable. African Americans in this country are vulnerable, yet we are so feared. We are feared because we are shaking the system that America was initially going to be.
Look to your right and left. I literally want you guys to look to your right and left. We are one big family, and we will do better for change.
Our hope is that these standouts we have been building a community and we've been sort of doing outreach within our community. Senator Brownsberger came by, we're building up a speaker series about some police reform that we're working toward in Belmont. We've had meetings with the police chief. We're also, getting involved with education. We have outreach in the schools. We're working with Belmont educators of color and their allies, which is a group of teachers that came together this summer as a result of a union of Belmont Teachers Association.
Through the years, there's a strong community in Belmont that just, is consistently active on these issues, and as different things have happened, through the years, spoken out about it, and not only just spoken out about it at the time, but also, consistently advocated for change.
So actually, that's interesting that you would say that, because I started attending standouts and protests in the Boston area in May and June of this year, and then throughout the summer. But I felt like I was always leaving my town and leaving my community.
So in the present, we have to recognize that all of the injustices and inequities and violences. But just to say fundamentally, that's where I want to go. That's where I think we need to go, is to that place where we are more genuinely a national community of equals, with justice and equality for all as the aspiration, as the goal. And that until we get there, the work isn't done for any of us.
My main one would be, again, letting people know that that don't feel how I feel, that don't have the same complexion as me or any other Black person, is to just step in our shoes and understand how it feels to be in this situation, or to see people that look like you in this situation.
And there always will be people like that who are purposely ignorant and who just don't want to see it that way. They don't want to admit something's wrong. They may be racist themselves, but the majority of people aren't like that. The majority of people that way just need to be taught. They just need to interact with these people. They need to know what's going on, Going
forward, I have been just super, just falling in love with my own heritage. So I've been looking into my African roots. I've incorporated voodoo and magic, and just a love of ancestral, I don't know what the right word is, a love of your ancestral line.
How do we make us the best version of ourselves for everybody who's here? We've gotten a lot more diverse. I love that. Now the work is making sure we're not just diverse, but that we, again, are doing the best we can to be the community that everybody here needs.
So, if there are people my age and younger who are looking at this, maybe they're also getting inspired to not only tell a story that's going to be, you know, hot right now, whether it be about a bad cop or a suffering Black person who, you know, is not suffering anymore, both of which are great, but there's so much in the middle. And I think once we get to that middle, we can start etching out the sides piece by piece and get everyone kind of to the middle and show that at the end of the day, people are people.
I would definitely say if somebody is educating you on what it is to be a Black person in America, just listen. That's all I can say is just listen.
Some people have had it a lot worse, but that doesn't mean that they're not people deserving of respect and love and clean water and food, all that good stuff.
Decirle ahí usted, mi niña, ¿cómo está? Para contarte un cuento. Llámame, Julia, tengo que decirte un cuento, mi hija. Hoy, Bujuquito se murió. ¿Tú te acuerdas cuando tú estabas chiquita? Tú no sabes decir Bujuquito. Burriquito, tú decías Burriquito. Sí, le sabe bailar más que tú, la niña, mira ya. Corazón bello, mi corazón de madre. ¿Cómo amaneciste, amor?
In 1988, Richie Pietri, a Puerto Rican professional basketball player, struck his wife Yvette Rodriguez 28 times with a hammer while she slept in San Germán, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rican feminists at the time used this incident to compel authorities to pass Law 54. With the passing of Law 54 in 1989, both women and men are allowed to take their partners to court on the basis of domestic violence. In addition, Law 54 began to expand the very definition of domestic violence, making clear that it's both physical and psychological.
La violencia o la cultura de la violencia en la relación de pareja en Puerto Rico está estructurada, por ejemplo, en las tradiciones locales. Puerto Rico se caracteriza porque todavía se mantiene la estructura patriarcal, donde el hombre se percibe como la cabeza, en este caso del hogar, o el sujeto que es proveedor, el sujeto que mantiene o sostiene ese espacio doméstico. Entonces, desde la estructura del espacio doméstico se van desarrollando ciertas percepciones sobre la división de género, sobre todo esa división de género basada, por ejemplo, en una estructura económica, en una estructura religiosa y en una estructura política.
We need to understand that our society is very violent at this moment,
in Puerto Rico because inequality, because gender differences, because our values also, the way that we were raised as macho sometimes.
Por ejemplo, a los varones, como yo te había dicho, a los varones se les dice no llores porque no es de varones. No expreses tus emociones porque expresar emociones significa debilidad. Entonces, en términos psicológicos, aunque yo no soy psicóloga, yo soy antropóloga, el fenómeno de aguante, el fenómeno de ser introvertido, va a llegar un momento, esto es física, que el sujeto va a explotar. Y entonces en el caso de los varones y las diferencias de género es interesante porque en el caso de Puerto Rico a las mujeres se les es permitido expresar sus emociones no importa dónde, cuándo y cómo, ¿no? Y en el caso de los varones se le crea un cierto tipo de resistencia, ¿no?
Sí, la violencia doméstica no discrimina ni contra género ni contra clase social. El rico puede ser un agresor y puede ser una víctima. El pobre puede ser un agresor y puede ser una víctima. Porque la violencia no tiene género, no tiene colores.
En Puerto Rico, quienes sufren la violencia son las mujeres, en desproporción. Un 90% son mujeres, 10% son hombres.
So I definitely think that sexual violence is a kind of physical violence, right? And I think that violence is an exertion of power, and it is an exertion of dominance, right? And to trying to maintain a situation of benefit to the detriment of another person. And I think that when gender comes along and gender dynamics, we cannot negate the society that we live in that is not built for women, femmes, trans folks, right? Queer folks, etc. So I think that sexual violence as a form of physical violence is also a way to reaffirm and to maintain power dynamics and a hierarchy.
La historia nos dice que las mujeres han sido más víctimas que los hombres. Igualmente la historia nos dice y la cultura que los hombres piensan que no pueden ser víctimas porque ellos no pueden ser agredidos por una mujer. Los hace menos hombres. Está el machismo. ¿Ve? Las mujeres más rápido para denunciar, porque históricamente han estado como víctimas. Los hombres se les hace más difícil. Cuando uno descubre que un hombre es la víctima dentro de una investigación, tiene que casi rogarles que sigamos con el proceso porque no quieren continuar, no quieren seguir, se avergüenzan, porque la cultura le ha enseñado que el macho no puede dejarse dar de una mujer, ¿eh? Y se les hace bien difícil, pero hemos llevado muchos casitos y últimamente yo veo que los hombres, si tú les das el suficiente apoyo.
Feminicidio es una palabra que nosotros prácticamente adoptamos de México, sabemos que se originó allá. Es nuestra manera de poder diferenciar lo que son las muertes entre la población general a las muertes en las mujeres. De acuerdo a la Organización de las Naciones Unidas, Puerto Rico tiene una de las tasas más altas de feminicidio en América Latina. Este año, en el 2019, han muerto entre 7 a 8 mujeres a manos de su expareja o la pareja actual. Pero en un año completo, en Puerto Rico mueren entre 50 a 60 mujeres. Y eso es muchísimo. De hecho, para nosotros una sola muerte ya es muchísimo y quisiéramos que esto se detenga. Entendemos que estamos hasta en un estado de emergencia, aunque el Estado no acaba de declararlo así.
El huracán María pasó en el año 2017, en septiembre de 2017. Definitivamente devastó la isla de Puerto Rico y causó que viéramos una realidad social que muchas personas quizás no querían ver.
Hurricane Maria not only devastated the Puerto Rican economy, but the hurricane led to a spike in the island's gender-based violence and femicide rates. The passing of the hurricane showed that women continue to be vulnerable to abuse despite strong laws to protect them.
Yo puedo hablarte de, después del huracán, lo de la violencia hacia las mujeres, se habla de que aumentó, pero no tenemos los datos específicos porque las agencias que llevaban las estadísticas, los números no coinciden. Pero ya la misma Organización Mundial de la Salud sabe y dice que cuando hay un evento o hay un desastre, la violencia tiende a aumentar. Así que nosotros realmente pues tenemos unos indicadores y se ve mucho en las muertes que hemos tenido, ¿verdad? De mujeres. Y la realidad es que los números que sí han podido recoger después del huracán María nos ha mostrado que en efecto con el paso del huracán y después del paso del huracán aumentó el incesto en Puerto Rico. Muchas, las jóvenes entre 14 y 17 años que estaban pasando por las mismas tragedias que estábamos todos tratando de sobrevivir, de encontrar agua, de encontrar comida. ¿Cuántas de ellas no vivieron por primera vez la experiencia traumática de un abuso sexual y a manos de personas que eran los que se suponía que te protegieran en un momento como este?
En la tercera investigación se trabajó con mujeres que han sobrevivido actos de violencia doméstica. Principalmente se revisaron expedientes de mujeres que recibieron servicio en algún centro que atiende víctimas de violencia doméstica. En esos expedientes pudimos ver que estas mujeres son vulnerables o que viven en situaciones de vulnerabilidad y que muchas cosas o patrones relacionados a la violencia doméstica pueden estar ocultando un patrón también de explotación sexual.
Underreporting of domestic violence is the product of two major factors. One is the culture in Puerto Rico that tells women they are expected to aguantar, or put up with abuse as if it were something natural.
When I was in law school, we talked a lot about Law 54 and what it was, and we talked about, which was interesting because a lot of the times we focused on women that killed their partner after being in situations of violence, and the reaction that I saw was people asking, why do women stay in the relationship? Why do they keep withstanding violence? And there is something called the síndrome de mujer maltratada, battered women syndrome, meaning that it's so difficult for a woman to get out of that situation because of power, because a lot of the times women are prohibited from working in abusive relationships. Their economic independence has been stripped. And this has also been done legally, right? This has also been the legal framework until recently, where women can even administer their own economic, their property or any of that.
Okay, la violencia doméstica hoy en día tiene muchos incisos donde tiene muchos detalles de la ley que te indican qué es lo de violencia doméstica. Como estuvimos en la conferencia pasada, nos indicaron que romper un celular, el hablar malo a la persona, el desprecio, la psicología, son tantas cosas psicológicas que el agresor puede o agresora puede cometer que cae en violencia doméstica. Yo entiendo que en muchos de los casos, por el desconocimiento de la ley, no es informado a las autoridades, porque muchas de las personas creen que no le están cometiendo violencia doméstica, cuando sí, cuando hay elementos que llevan a ese delito, a cometer ese delito.
The other reason is that authorities do not provide enough help with domestic violence cases. This causes survivors to lose hope and underreport. Case in point, on March 16, 2020, Yolanda Gonzalez, age 49, was murdered while visiting her psychologist's office in Aguadilla by her former partner. Yolanda Gonzalez had reported to the authorities twice, but both times her partner had been freed on bail.
La violencia psicológica, lo que pasa es que muchas veces los jueces piensan que tú necesitas un perito psicológico, un psicólogo, para probar el daño. Pero la ley no requiere que se pruebe que se ha sufrido daño, sino que lo hace con la intención de causar daño. Yo pienso que la violencia física se cura, pero la psicológica permanece con esa persona y requiere más trato para poder curarse, para poder superarlo. Y a veces los jueces no pueden entenderlo. Las razones desconozco. No sé por qué no pueden entender que puede ser, eso solito puede ocurrir. O tal vez piensan que eso no es delictivo. O tal vez piensan que porque ella se dejó y no dejó la relación, ¿ves? No sé qué ocurre en la mente de los jueces con respecto a eso, pero yo pienso que es un delito igualmente malo o peor que la agresión física, por el daño permanente que deja esa persona para el resto de su vida.
Puerto Rico's complicated relationship with the United States has slowed down the implementation of Law 54, which was passed in 1989. Puerto Rico's colonial status to this day still makes it very hard for the island to manage budgets, deliver services, and to find a fully autonomous judiciary.
En el caso de Estados Unidos, ¿cómo afecta la violencia doméstica? Bueno, sabemos que somos colonia. Llevamos más de 100 años de colonialismo norteamericano. La realidad es que Puerto Rico nunca ha sido libre. O sea, pasamos del colonialismo español al colonialismo norteamericano. Y al ser parte de una colonia norteamericana, pues tenemos las leyes norteamericanas, aparte de las leyes locales.
So when we look at the circumstances in thinking about gender violence specifically as an emergency, as an ongoing issue, we have to think about the ways in which the U.S. has really kind of foreclosed opportunities for self-determination, for growth, for economic growth, because what Promesa ends up doing is worsening a situation. Austerity measures are not the solution just because these austerity measures really impinge upon just basic rights, right? I think health benefits, employment, education, and all of these issues impact the well-being of a society. And I think that also includes intimate partner relationships and violence, because a lot of the cases that we have seen with gender violence in Puerto Rico are perpetrated by by a person that is known to the survivor.
Our hope for a future is very fragmented, and it's very difficult to establish consciousness, awareness, and a political project. The division in Puerto Rico regarding our relationship with the United States is part of the problem. We have three different ideas of relationship: autonomy, statehood, or independence. And we have to transcend that reality. We have to overcome those differences in order to establish a national project regarding environment, gender, human trafficking, education, development, sustained development. And so far we have not been able to do it. We keep thinking in a traditional way, in a traditional manner regarding the political parties, and that's going anywhere.
Y es interesante porque las instituciones del Estado se encargan en seguir reproduciendo que el Estado es el padre y la patria es la madre, ¿no? El Estado es el proveedor y la patria madre es la que me cuida. O sea, en el inconsciente colectivo percibimos a los políticos desde la estructura masculina y al país desde la estructura femenina, ¿no? Todavía las mujeres son vistas como cuidadoras. Esa mujer vulnerable que cuida, es solidaria en el espacio doméstico, ¿no? Y el padre es el que es proveedor.
The removal of Governor Ricky Rosselló in 2019 shows that the movement to counter gender-based violence had gained national momentum. The public outcry that removed Governor Rosselló was a reaction to corruption and nepotism, but also to the sexism, homophobia, and contempt for women that was evident in the leaked chats to his inner circle. And Puerto Rico had enough.
The nearly 900 pages of misogynistic, homophobic, and violent text messages exchanged between Governor Rosselló and government officials were leaked by the Puerto Rico Center for Investigative Journalism. In one exchange, the governor jokes about shooting San Juan Mayor Carmen Yulín Cruz and called former New York City Council Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, who's an ally of Yulín Cruz. He called her a whore. Mark Viverito also spoke in New York's Union Square on Wednesday, calling for the Puerto Rican governor to resign.
We're in a difficult moment for Puerto Rico. We have an administration, a leader who's showing his true face, his immoral character. And it's now what's coming out in chat, which is obviously very worrisome. But also, regarding the investigations from the likes of the FBI in Puerto Rico, so there's accusations of corruption. We also have the moral character of the governor, who's appealed for the trust, not only from his own party, but also from the Puerto Rican people, so he can be an effective leader. So for the benefit of Puerto Rico, as his people are calling for, he ought to resign.
La Colectiva Feminista en Construcción was founded out of the needs to recognize the ways in which systems of repression are interlocked. Specifically here in Puerto Rico, the way in which anti-Blackness, gender-based violence, homophobia and transphobia are connected to the colonial relationship we have with the U.S.
I think that first and foremost, La Colectiva is a political organization that takes a Black feminist intersectional approach to the work that they do. And part of this work is holding accountable the state in terms of the work that they should be doing for the people. So a lot of their claims really go directly into confronting, into agitating, into getting people to see the negligence and how inefficient the government is, right? Because there is kind of a baseline that the government and the state should be doing for its citizens, for the people. And I mean citizens broadly, not for citizens that are documented, for everybody that inhabits that territory. The government has responsibility. It's very interesting that a lot of young people are getting a lot more involved. They're very actively involved. I think that it's also, there's been kind of a shift away from academic feminism in the protest politics scene, and also away from maybe labor organizing and unions and these claims that are based right on multiple identities, on intersectional approaches to activism. I think that the future really lies in people's understanding in Puerto Rico that issues of gender are related to everything in life in Puerto Rico, and they're directly related to colonialism and how colonialism impacts issues of gender.
To whoever receives this message, I am stranded on a desolate planet far from any populated planets. A blockade is halting my escape. I left the planet where I grew up years ago, but something happened, and I can't quite say what. And now I'm stranded on an alien planet that looks like home, but it's not quite what I remember. On the planet I am now, I feel welcome enough. Civilization is friendly, and it's not terribly uncomfortable. But deep down, I know I'm fundamentally different compared to every one of them. And for some reason, it's just now hitting me. I'm glad I carry relics of my people's past with me, at least some of it, to remember how far we've come and the places we've been. At least it makes me feel less alone.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
But there's a problem. I can't seem to send messages, but I am receiving others. And trust me when I say that what I'm hearing and seeing is disturbing.
Officer Derek Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
You know what happened? Somebody kicked in the door inside my girlfriend.
Victims of gun violence. Tonight, another shooting has claimed 2 lives, leaving more families broken and left to grieve.
Remember when I said that this planet was familiar? It looks and sounds like home, but now I see beyond their smiles and into their words and actions. Everyone seemed to just stand by like nothing was wrong. The feelings of separation and isolation flood back. My identity in my home is compromised by the crimes they continue to commit. Is it even really my home if my ancestors didn't even decide to come here? I know my people aren't the only ones who feel like this, but when you're stranded on an alien planet, it certainly feels that way. Don't worry though. I have hope. I won't stop here. I will keep traveling, and there are still plenty of planets worth charting. When all this passes and my ship is repaired, you can find me in the black of space. I'll be waiting.
Alrighty. Wanna start out by telling us who you are, Dad?
My name's Eric Cook.
When were you born?
1965.
When's your birthday?
10/2/65.
Okay.
I can't say anything more than that.
Yeah. How old are you now?
Oh shoot, we got it the other day. 60.
Sorry. You want to wrap this around? Put that on her. Just. Yeah.
55? No. 53? No, that's how long I've been alive. Yeah. 54?
Yep.
Is that good?
Yeah, it is 54.
Yes. Hey, for me.
All right.
Sorry, I won't.
No, it's all right. Can you tell us about growing up?
Can you tell me the thing again?
How about you talk about growing up?
Okay, yes.
You growing up.
Me growing up?
Mm-hmm.
My father was a big drinker.
Mm-hmm.
I love him, you know, but it was hard.
Mm.
And my mother kind of did too, and they were, with my sister and I would say, you know, they loved each other. It's just not the same ways, you know what I mean? And how can I say this? I know because it's the right thing. It was, I can't even remember what they were, but it was God, Dad, was, no, it was the whole thing of the thing. Drug tie-ins.
You got into drugs?
Yes, some stuff, but little, but it was mostly drinking stuff. I didn't even know how it started, you know, but I knew it in there and stuff, and finally it started going to me, twice in when you, I don't know, man. I would not be here with you, Danielle and Abby. I just made it out because have not made it out.
Yeah.
I know. So it's a thing that can kill you. That's all I can say for you. You know. He took down. Well, no, I can't even think of what it is. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
But I made it more out of it that I didn't have. You know, that we didn't do that. If that made straight, did that make right? Yeah. Okay.
Want to talk more about the Alzheimer's?
Well,
how does it feel having Alzheimer's?
How I come into this now?
What?
Lowly and other times I've had them and I didn't even know what was going on it. And then it's all going over and it's with I can't think of the number. This is a good one. And like talking and everything, and I was working great for my life, and then all of a sudden it's going down, 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 down. And I was doing good for a long time, and all of a sudden it started to happen to me, and my wife too, and say that and stuff. But it's hard, of you know what I mean? I can feel it and stuff, but you know, Danielle is that little girl. Something, you know, and it's big, you know, when they're here, and Abby and Michael. Yep. We saw that in my ancestors. My Michael is my oldest kid, and not so long, I hope, sometime. But he of the kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard with the kids and everything. You know, I kind of. It's hard on everybody. I can just say that. You know.
What's the hardest part about it?
This whole thing, or
the Alzheimer's? Yeah.
The Alzheimer's thing pisses me off.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that, you know, well, the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, on Newbury, it and stuff like that. My thing is I'm not seeing my kids. You know, which.
What do you mean, not seeing them?
Oh well, yeah, see them when I die, like, and you don't know, because with all the stuff in there, yeah, I don't want to be sailed up in the thing, or, you know, going there and you're not doing things, you know, with friends and family and all that stuff.
You're afraid of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're still the same person?
I am.
Yeah.
I am, yeah, and that's true. It's, yeah, but sometimes I get it going and I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I can't get it going and I can't remember what I'm doing. You know, so far I'm pretty back to me from whatever, Sue, but they, with that, any others asking you? Because no, I just.
Are you getting tired?
No, I'm okay.
No.
It's just some of the thinking sometimes.
Yeah.
there's anything more you want to say. I don't know.
Can you say it one more time?
Just is there anything else you want to say about Alzheimer's so people understand it better? Because we have a good understanding of it, and you have a good understanding of it because you have it.
Right.
And us living with you, but I feel like people who don't know
right
what it's like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It is the thing I have with my people who I live in there, and my family is the best thing, because some people would just get out of here, you know, friends, and I've been taking really good with the but I know it's gonna be hard. So and
so you know it's gonna get harder.
Yeah because I know it's coming. You know what I mean? I don't know what and my ears, nose, and chin. So did I say anything about all the places I've been and how good they are? Did I already put that in there? Okay. Yeah.
How everyone's helpful.
Yeah. So, I do get scared. Hughley. And, yeah, it's like, but just being out of, from going in, the stuff, and I'm not afraid to. I would never have been, you know, even when I'm a little guy right now, so it's. But I mean, just sitting here and thinking and talking, my family's and just it goes. It's like I said. All the time, and like a lot of people would not be in this place or have somebody this, right, Rube? Just trying a little bit more.
You're happy to have people who help you?
Oh God, yeah. Well, it wasn't in the other time. I'm trying to think of all the people. It's huge.
All the people who help you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And friends, you know, and
they know. They know that you appreciate it.
Oh yeah, yep, and hold on one second. I was going to look at you.
What were you gonna grab?
The one where do we have it? Oops. It's on this one. Oh no, is that it? Yeah.
Is it that picture?
Yeah.
You want to show?
Yeah.
What about that picture? What about that picture is special?
Just because it was with Danielle and when we were just really short, you know, because he was nothing to it and stuff.
Yeah.
have a barrel of fun. Sing boom tarara! We've got the blues on the run.